Welcome to my daily stock checkup, stock market checkup, update. Anyway, today was kind of a strange day. Why do I say that? Well, the Nasdaq tried to have a follow-through day. It was up 1.5%, but the volume wasn't quite what it was the past couple of sessions. And also, it's rare to have a follow-through day when it's just an inside day, right? So if it had the volume, though, it would have qualified for a follow-through day, but you can see it's below the last couple of sessions where it sold off. All I can say is it's making higher lows, not higher highs. The index is making, since the April 19th low of 15,022, it's been making, these higher lows, which is a good thing. And like I said, today was just an inside day. Cannot make higher highs though, so it needs to get above the 50 and needs to make a higher high. You can see right now it's trading, it recaptured its 10, it traded, it closed 0.1% below the 21 and 1.3% below the 50. So that's it for the Nasdaq. I mean, it's just kind of in no man's land, and this market's going to challenge you. It's going to challenge your willpower, your discipline, your ability to, hang tight, make small trades, don't get too big in size. And that takes, like I said, a little bit of willpower, a little bit of discipline, the staying out kind of power. That had a 32% run. I keep repeating this during the power trend and a 9% give back. And now we're just in this choppy digestion where it's very difficult to trade. It's frustrating for the bulls and bears, the shorts and longs, nobody's really happy. It gives you a little bit, then takes it away, and so that's just the kind of market that it's in. You're going to have to be patient. So it's also going to challenge your patience, going to challenge your willpower. It's going to challenge your discipline to play smaller, play quicker, and or just sit out and just kind of ride it out, because this is where you make the money and this is where you lose it. So you don't want to be giving it back, okay? And we get back in a power trend when the low is above the 21 and we start trading a little more consistently, then it'll be a little easier. There's two criteria that I have to get really big in the market and have success, and that's you need the tailwinds of the indexes at your back, and you need to make proper stock selections. During this run here, we had some really nice runs with NVIDIA, SMCI, Vert, Spotify, NVO, Lilly. I mean, there was just a lot of good stocks, but now they're just chopping it up, and it's very frustrating. Anyway, this is the S&P, very similar action here. Big run from October 26th. What did I say? I forget, March 21st down to April 19th. So about a month of this, give back, and now it's just chop suey. And that's just the way it's going to be for a while. No chance for a follow through day here. The other one is the Russell. It was up. I said yesterday there was a follow through day, but it wasn't. It wasn't up enough. The market surge had the incorrect data when I went through it. Yesterday it was only up 0.21%. Today it was up, 1.84%, but it didn't have the volume like it had yesterday. And then the Dow Jones Industrial Average. We'll take a look at this 30 stock average and just nothing burger here. Kind of flat. It was up, 0.85%. But once again, an inside day on lighter volume. So it was kind of a strange day where the volume wasn't there. It didn't, when you have a follow through day, it should be powerful and you should know it. And like a majority of stock should be up and things should be pretty easy. Today wasn't that way. I'm going to get to some things that were easy and some things that weren't. So I'm going to move on. I have to check out the Mag 7, starting with Microsoft. Of course, when the indexes are up, Microsoft's probably going to be up, and it was just an inside day, though, on light volume for Microsoft. Google looks good, kind of flagging here after that nice run up following earnings. Once again, inside day on light volume. Hard to get excited about this. Meta, inside day on lighter volume. I know I sound like a broken record. Amazon had a nice earnings report, and had a nice run up on Wednesday following its earnings report on Tuesday. It was up 2.2%. Today up 3.2%, but still 185.10, 185.15. So that qualifies as an inside down lighter volume, sounding like a broken record here. Tesla, wow, it finished flat. It was down, finished flat, light volume though. And then NVIDIA, this one's trying to recapture its 50, which is at 863. So after hours, it's up. I'm going to get to this. They're moving north after hours. But NVIDIA trying to reclaim the 50 here. It's just consolidating in a base. And for me, if the market's doing really well, it's pretty easy to find stocks to buy. Today, it was very difficult for me to find stocks to buy. And so that tells me, to kind of stay out, until something compelling comes along. My ready list is very short, and there's just not a lot of merchandise to buy out there. I'm sorry, I don't mean to be negative. I'm just trying to be honest here that, that there's maybe some low quality stocks doing well, but I am having a difficult time finding good stocks. I did buy, NVIDIA yesterday because it sold off on the AMD and SMCI earnings, which were pretty decent, and those sold off, and NVIDIA sold off with it. But you could see it made this low here on the 19th, and it keeps making higher lows. So once again, NVIDIA with a higher low and up after hours. Anyway, I got to get to the some of the movers today in the semiconductor space. Qualcomm, I mentioned this yesterday, when a stock, this big, this is a 200 billion market cap stock, and had a solid earnings report, and it ramped nearly 10%, $16 up to 180. So that looks good for Qualcomm shareholders. So congrats. You could see the relative strength line pointing due north there, moving through its moving averages. That buy point, standard buy point, is 177.59, so it's above that area. Qualcomm looks pretty good. Monolithic Power Systems, pretty similar to Qualcomm. That was up nearly 10%. Still consolidating in a base, though. You can see the 778. And nice earnings report, nice move. The semiconductor fabless group is a strong group. So this is a contributor. MPWR looks pretty good following its earnings report as well. The other one that reported earnings, this is a equipment stock. This is ACLS, Axcelis Technologies. You can see it's in a clear downtrend. It's at its 50. It took forever to get back to the 50 today, but that's a long, clear downtrend. You can see the earnings line heading north and the stock heading south, which so maybe I'm going to look for a turnaround in ACLS. It's shown the ability to move fast in the past, so I'm going to keep my eye on that. That earnings report was not bad. AMD, in a clear downtrend. This one looks like it wants to visit the 200. So AMD looks poor. And SMCI, since I mentioned SMCI, I better show it. Had just an inside day today on lighter volume, sold off following its earnings report, and just looks to base. I mean, it's I don't know, 15.1 billion revenues it guided to, and it's a 40 billion market cap. So it's less than 3 times sales. So it's not an expensive stock. They're just going to have to deliver a couple more quarters for it to get, form a base, tighten up, and we'll see from there. But I'm going to continue to watch SMCI. I have to go to I'm going to leave the semiconductor space. I'm going to go to the drug space, because Novo Nordisk reported this morning. They reported a pretty strong quarter. Let's see here. It had 22% sales growth, 28% earnings growth. They beat on the top and bottom line. They raised guidance. They said that they were admitting 25,000 new patients per week for Wegovy, just Wegovy alone. And it sold off. I don't know. This probably has something to do with options action. You can see, you got to do year by year, not quarter by quarter, because some people were mentioning, well, it's down from last quarter. It was a 9.8 to 9.5. You look at the prior year's quarter. So the March quarter from 2023 was 7.8 billion. The March quarter 2024 is 9.5 billion. That's a 22% increase in sales. So a company this size, 22%. You can see the estimates going forward here, 21, 26, 24, that, you know, they're going to earn, they're going to have, you know, over 10 billion in, or close to 10, 9.7 billion in sales next month, and the 10.5 billion the following month. We'll have to wait and see. Those are just estimates and not written in stone. But to me, you could see this earnings line headed due north. They're selling everything they can make in the weight loss, and the stock just sells off. So that's pretty frustrating. This is why, you know, a stock like this to me is just like a long-term hold, and not you don't worry about the everyday wiggles of it. Novo, yeah, I mean, all the drug stocks pretty much sold off today. They were out of favor as money flowed towards the technology names. Lilly, same thing, sold off. They reported earnings, 26% sales growth. You could see the numbers are similar here, but Lilly, for some reason, that was a $200 billion higher market cap. You could see they're both right around, you know, 10 billion a quarter here. So they're both expensive stocks, no doubt about it, but they're delivering the earnings, the sales, and raising guidance. So I don't know. I just got to let them wiggle around. You can't worry about the day-to-day wiggles. This is a Viking, this one, another of the weight loss group that just sold off today, and you know, the drug stocks were just not in favor. Neocrene, they reported a strong quarter, and it was up on Wednesday and then pulled back today. Just had an inside day today, but you could just see that the drug stocks were just not in favor. Sorry. This is Regeneron. They reported and they were in favor. It ran up to the 50 and got rejected. And also Moderna reported a strong quarter up. I shouldn't say a strong quarter. No, they didn't. The response was good. It tries to break out of a stage 1 base here. You can see this stage 1 base. It's been a long, long time for Moderna, and you can see the earnings line headed due south. That for me is a disqualifier right away. I'm not going to buy that. You can see the big red numbers here. Moderna, yeah, nice breakout out of a stage 1 base, but I'm not gonna. I think I'm just gonna pass on Moderna. Anyway, that's it for the drugs. No, there's one more. The animal drug stock, Zoetis, and this one's up 5% following its earnings report. So, but you can see it's sold off mightily. That's a nice cascade waterfall, low and then bounce. Not bad for Zoetis. Anyway, I'm going to move on to the data center group. Vertiv, this one sold off the past couple of sessions back to its 10. You know, when it's selling off down to the 10, that's a pretty strong stock. And today popped 4.26%, bounced off that 10 now. And yeah, pretty nice day for Vertiv Holdings. But you can see the volume here. This is I don't know. I'm not a big volume guy. I'm a price guy, but you could see that it did, you know, it spiked and bounced off its 10 with light volume. So I don't know. Not a lot of conviction in the move. Quanta Services, they reported earnings today. This is a electrical power stock. Reported strong quarter, but the market just, you know, pulled back to its 50, found support and bounced. It finished 78% of its daily range. So, you know, nice bounce, but I would expect that to continue higher eventually, if not tomorrow, but in next week or the week after. STRL Sterling, this is in the same group, this heavy construction, building, data center play, below the 50. They're going to report earnings next week, so you're just going to have to wait and see. I like this stock, and it's just consolidating in a base. I wouldn't be surprised to see it trade back above its 50 here. Eaton, they are just big conglomerate, traded down to its 50. They reported earnings, you know, good earnings, and it just sold off. Today bounced off its 50, closed at 92% of its daily range. So it's got that nice little hammer candle, hammer looking candle for Eaton. And DELL. Dell's another one that, you know, it's on my ready list. I like it, but it's just, this is what I mean. It's just chopping around, you know, can't make new highs. It can't power higher, you know, it should be trading above this 136 area. And it's just, you know, an inside day on light volume. That's it. Bounced nearly 4%, closed at 91% of its daily range. That's all good, but it just can't make new highs. It can't power higher. It's just in choppy trade range. and that makes it tough to trade. VST is utility, you know, electric power. These data centers are going to need a lot of power. This one traded a new high today, 80.81, and it closed at 80% of its daily range. So that one, you know, it's a strong stock, but they report earnings next week as well on May 8th. So anyway, that's it for the data centers. Sprouts Farmers Market broke out of a base. We have this one on the ready list. Pull back to its 21 prior to earnings, had earnings, and then popped 12% today. So congrats to the longs there. You can see this RS line just heading due north. So that one looks good. Celsius is an enigma. I don't know. You know, it had this 44% gain, which triggered the 8-week hold rule, but I don't hold for 8 weeks, man. If it starts diving below moving averages, I just cut it loose because I can buy it back later. And one thing, I don't know how low it's going to go or how long this sell-off's going to last. You know, I never know that. So I just kind of sell and kind of wait. Oops. I want to look at the 30-minute chart here because it did make this low here. You can see the big sell-off, you know, in April. And then it made this low at 67, another low, so a higher low at 69, and it retested it here, 70, 70, you know, 70 is the low, so it's kind of holding 70. So I kind of like that. If the shorts can't push it below this 70 area, you know, I kind of like it going higher. You know, if they can't push it lower, then it's probably going to go higher. Celsius, yeah, I think that one looks pretty good to rally through its 50. You know, it's got to rally through back through its 50, but today it you know, recaptured the 10 and still 0.8 of a percentage point below the 21. So I'd like to see it close above the 21. Anyway, that's Celsius. I'm going to move on from the retail. No, I'm going to go to ELF. ELF kind of similar to Celsius, where it's retesting the lows here. Makes a low 153 here on this day, April 22nd. Retest that low yesterday, 154. You know, had an inside day today on lighter volume. That sounds familiar. And if they can't push it lower, I mean, they're going to report earnings here in a couple of weeks. So beware, the shorts can't push it lower. It's probably going to go higher. All right, that's enough for the ELF. Oh, I got to look at the miners because every time they pull back to a moving average, they've been getting support and bouncing. Today, this is Southern Copper, pulled back to its 21. So I'm looking for the bounce tomorrow or next week. They've already reported earnings, and so that's out of the way. Freeport McMoran, same thing, keeps coming back to the 21. Last time it found support and bounce. So those two stocks, I'm looking for the same thing. CCJ, disappointing this week. I had it on our ready list because of the chart pattern. Cup with handle, they reported earnings and, you know, sold off with earnings, but just, you know, trading sideways, doing nothing, very choppy action. And that, you know, a lot of these stocks are looking, you know, that same way. They just trading sideways and can't really power higher. So that's it for those stocks. I got to get to the China names. I normally don't trade or even look at China stocks, but this is Futu Holdings, and you know, that's, you got to acknowledge a breakout here. You know, nice 12% move. That looks pretty good to me. And if you just cover the ticker, PDD, this one, nice move, 10% with volume. JD is another name that popped 12%. So just acknowledging these names trading higher, trading better, you know, nowhere near new highs. Or this one's 22% off its high. So yeah, I got some work to do there. Just observing the fish tank today. Okay, I got to look at some stocks that broke out recently and like how are they doing. This is Carvana, which broke out today. Any stock that's up 33% and breaking out of this little consolidation area, this is not to be ignored. You know, big breakout, big volume move for Carvana. They had an excellent earnings report, just really blowing up the shorts here. So that looks pretty darn good. TMDX is another one that broke out yesterday and followed through today. And that's what you want to see with a breakout. You know, tack on gains, make higher highs there, 124.52. Very strong move for TMDX. The organ transplant machines. That one looks good for a longer term holds Aspen. This is the chemical specialty stock. It was only up 56% today with big volume, so that was one to watch. Breakout from a base here at 1910. So nice move here. You can see it broke out of this stage one base, and then today broke out of the stage two, and you can see the earnings line heading due north. The RS line obviously heading way north. So that one looks good as well. Lantheus, I saw the earnings report this morning. I didn't follow it today, but yeah, up 16%. That's a breakout from a stage one base. That looks beautiful. You can see the RS line just powering through the moving averages. That looks fantastic. 79.20 looks like an area of interest here if we get above that. Yeah, Lantheus looks good to me. This is a quality company. Quality growth numbers there and margins. So that one looks good. VMI. Honestly, don't know what this thing does. Valmont Industries, but I do know that it broke out of a base here, 17% move with volume, and that is not to be ignored, Dan. Anyway, that's it for me. Just a look around the markets today. I'm really, having trouble finding quality setups and stocks. A lot of them are just chopping around. So thank you for watching. That's it for me, except for I lied in honor of the great Steve Jobs. I have one more thing. I have a lot of earnings reports to get to tonight that I just didn't have time for. Just going through some companies that I had written down. This is Tidewater, the oil and gas field services leader, up 2.2% after hours. So that's a positive. QRVO, they reported and they cited a slowing sales in headsets, but it's up after hours. So that looks good. The big kahuna is Apple, though, and they reported, up 7% now. They reported better than expected numbers. How about that? Barely beat revenues, 110 billion buyback program, and they raised their dividend. So I think it's just kind of like a relief rally. All this bad news is priced in, and now it's going to trade back above what, 185. So yeah, good for the longs. If you're stuck with Apple, you're going to get rewarded tomorrow, 185, 186. I don't know what they're saying on the conference call going forward, but 110 billion buyback, that's nothing to mess with. Coinbase, I didn't see what they were down 1% after hours. I don't know. It's a Bitcoin related, so I don't know what I'll have more in the morning on that one. And DraftKings as well, up nearly 3% after hours. Still, kind of a choppy mess, but I'll have more in the morning on DraftKings. I didn't even look at this. Square, I know that they said something about dollar cost averaging into Bitcoin. The stock's up nearly 7% after hours. So that looks good. Net, down 13%. That's no good for a net. And how about Fortinet? I saw that was down as well. 9%, not too good. And so I just got to say, if you don't know what to buy, and like we have a follow through day, and you could see Apple's going up and NVIDIA after hours, you could just buy the QQQs. And, if you just want to be in something, I like the TQQQ because it adds a little horsepower. It's the, 3 times, performance of the Nasdaq 100, but whatever. I've got some stocks on my ready list that are just not doing much, really. Datadog, you can see it's just chop suey. DELL is another one that I have. I like these names, but they're not doing much, just going sideways. Oscar is another one, that's a nice little base there anyway, and a pull back to the 10 and a bounce 4% today. That's pretty nice. Just a lot of them just are not doing much. So Pure Storage, one just choppy mess. Sprouts Farmers Market I did have, and that one, yeah, bounced 12%. So that's a good move. Then NVIDIA, one that I like, one that I mentioned that I had bought, but I'd like to see it move higher. And it looks like it is after hours. So anyway, that's it for me. Thank you for watching. Tomorrow's a new day, and at mcstockcharts.com, we never give up.